What's up, YouTubers and plant lovers? It's Justin coming to you from the Big Blue Nation once again. And today I've got an exciting project. My fiance loves vanilla, and I do too. So I actually went ahead and bought a cutting of a vanilla orchid. And today I just got it in the mail, and I just wanted to show you all my cutting and what exactly it takes to take care of this plant and make sure it roots properly and is in the right position and set to grow. So all I need is, of course, my cutting. It's got about 3 leaf nodes on there. It's about 1 foot long. I also need some moss for orchids, some zip ties, some cinnamon. That's one of the most important things for this project is cinnamon. A good stake, probably a little bit longer than the actual cutting. And a pot to put it in, an edging knife or an X-Acto knife, sanitized pruning shears, some perlite, and some coarse bark for the orchids to thrive in. Now I've got this rather large bowl that I'm going to mix all this in. For the substrate, I'm going to do about 4 parts bark to about 1 part moss and perlite. So I'm just going to go ahead and dump that in there. Dump in a little bit of this perlite. That's going to help with water. Try not to breathe it in as you're pouring it. Ooh, it might have been a little bit too much. It came flying out. And if that's too much, just add more bark. That'll be fine. And then I'll go ahead and add some of this moss. So I'll pinch some of that off, rip it up, and just kind of mix it down in there. And I'll just kind of mix it by hand. Probably add just a little bit more bark. Just a little pinch of perlite. And it's about where I want it at. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is figure out what orientation I want the plant. And since the leaves are pointing down, I know that that's the direction that it's supposed to be. So you want to have about 6 to 8, maybe 10 inches of bare section exposed that can go down in the soil. So I'll just cut that leaf off right there. And this is where the cinnamon comes into play. Cinnamon is actually an antibacterial. So I'm going to put a little bit onto my finger there and just apply that a little bit to where I just cut. Because that's going to go down in the soil, in the substrate, and it's exposed. And I don't want anything to kind of rot. Even this part down here is coarse and kind of dry, so I don't think anything can rot of that. But just in case, I went ahead and added a little bit of cinnamon to it, and that'll keep it from rotting down in the substrate. And since I've got that other little piece where that leaf just went on there, I'll sprinkle just a little bit more down there. There we go. Now, with the X-Acto knife, I'm going to go ahead and cut where I want my stake to be. So, get it situated in there where I want it to be. There we go. As you know, orchid bark, perlite, and moss doesn't really make a good sturdy kind of resting spot for the stake. So that's why I've got my zip ties here. I'm going to go ahead and secure that with the zip ties. So I'm going to add some substrate down in there. Get some bark down in there to weigh it down. And we do this because orchids, let alone vanilla orchids, are epiphytes, meaning that they grow on other plants. I guess what we could do is just go ahead and put the stake all the way in there and then add the substrate. Now you can do this moist, you can add water to it. My cutting is a little bit wet, so I'm not going to add much water to it until I get it in there exactly where I want it. Now I'll just position that where I want it. Take my zip ties and go ahead and start feeding them in there. That way my stake is secured down in there and won't move with all this bark. Now we can go ahead and use the other zip tie and secure the bottom part of the stake. Now it's going to be a little top heavy just because the stake weighs a lot more than the plastic pot, but that's okay. Go ahead and secure your stake down in there. And then we can add our substrate. Now these vanilla orchids, they root really easily, so you won't really need to worry about them not producing any roots. As you can see, they've already got their aerial roots right here. They'll probably just die and fall off, but other than that, they should be just fine. Now when securing the orchid with the zip tie, you want to be kind of loose. You don't want to be too tight, because you don't want it to rub itself raw on the zip tie. And you'll want to keep your little end piece in the front. Alright, now I'll use that other guy to hold him up. And then I'll pack some more substrate down in here. Now you don't want to have too much moss. I feel like I put too much moss down in there. The moss and the perlite will help with water, so you don't need a whole lot of both. Like I said, mine just kind of poured out. You want about 3 to 4 parts bark to 1 part perlite and moss. These orchids love their humidity, but they don't need it so much to where they're going to be standing in water all day either. And as I forgot to mention, when you're selecting your spike, don't use any kind of treated lumber, because those chemicals can leach out and kill your plant. Alright, so that is about where I want mine. It doesn't need to be all the way full, because that'll be kind of too deep for it. So what I'm going to do now is add a little bit of water, probably about a cup, just to kind of soak down in there, maybe a cup and a half. Make sure that this pot, this plastic pot, has a lot of drainage holes on the bottom, because you want water to be able to run through there. And these guys, they require a lot of light, so I will set this underneath my artificial grow lights and my LEDs and update you on that as it kind of matures. Now with that leaf, there we go. Got him situated so that he won't be rubbing up against the stake. And these aerial roots will probably fall off, but they'll grow other aerial roots. So in a couple of weeks, I will go ahead and post an updated video and let you all know how this has turned out for me. This is my first vanilla orchid. Like I said, I love orchids and I have a whole bunch of them. So this probably makes about number 20, maybe 21 for me. But other than that, thanks for tuning in. Let me know if you have any questions. You can leave those in the comments. And let me know if you've had any kind of success or failures with these vanilla orchids, or if you've even ever raised one. They are a tropical plant, so they will present their own challenges, let alone humidity, light, warmth, and I'm in the dead of winter over here in Kentucky. But other than that, like I said, I will post updated videos and pictures and let you know how this has turned out for me. Feel free to leave me a comment and hit the subscribe button, and also hit the bell next to it. That way you'll know anytime I've uploaded a new video. Well guys, you all have a good one. Take it easy, and don't forget, always plant prudently. Have a good one, YouTube. Thank you.